Hey guys, so it's that time again where I look through replays of the top ranked players on Dueling Book to see what decks they're playing. Now for those that are new to the channel, I thought I'd just lay down how these analyses work so you can pause the video to read this, but for the rest of the returning viewers, you already know the drill. The only exception to this month's analysis is that I'm actually looking at top 30 players because I wanted to include replays post Albaz structure deck only, so I needed to include a few more players to have around that 500 replays to work with. So this was the breakdown for May 2022 based on 510 matches, and keep in mind that at the time of recording this video, the ban list did not release. So I was a little surprised that branded Despia was not the unanimous number one, but it was actually Floowandereeze taking most of the pie. Then we have Eldlich variants, although over a third of the variants were using the branded engine, so keep that in mind. Then we have branded Despia, which has now won 2 ICSs back to back, and I'm sure there will be more representation from this deck online in the coming weeks. After that we have Prank Kids, which we can't sleep on because it did win YCS Charlotte, and maybe right now is being overlooked a bit because of the release of the Albaz structure deck cards. Next we have Swordsoul, and we're talking actual Swordsoul and not the Brave 10E pile deck. It has fallen off in representation after being so dominant before the last ban list, but still a really solid deck. And speaking of solid decks is Dragon Link, followed by Ad Ignister yet again, showing that it is a rogue deck that can keep up in highly competitive ranked online play. After that we have Brave Virtual World, which is a little bricky but can be a force to deal with. And after that we have the infamous Base, and something I've noticed is the decline of pile decks lately. After that we somehow have Speedroids, where one player seemed to be doing pretty well with it. And then we have our usual other section, and this included decks like Sky Striker, Drytron, Tri-Brigade, and Thunder Dragons. Now if you take a look at last month's breakdown, it was pretty different because the most played deck was Eldlich, which has now dropped off for this month. Prank Kids was still up there, and so is Phantom Knights, but that has disappeared for this month. Floowandereeze wasn't as played as much, but now has come back to be the most played deck among the top ranked. This month our top ranked players won 69% of the matches, so a bit of a decline than usual. If you look at the breakdown of the deck playstyles, there's actually a lot more control decks, particularly considering that we had so much Floowandereeze but also Eldlich. I categorize branded Despia as mid-range, so that takes up most of that category, and in most formats we usually see combo as the favorite playstyle, but I guess not this time around. Speaking of combo being the favorite playstyle, last month we had a vast majority playing combo decks, and that has now shifted for this month, especially considering that a lot of players would probably want to try out branded Despia or any other branded variants. So let's cover the top 5 most played decks in more detail, starting with Floowandereeze. The top players won 74% of the matches when using this deck. While the rise of branded Despia has taken away our attention a bit from this deck, let's not forget how strong this strategy is, and not to mention, rather annoying. A little curious how they would even hit this deck on the next ban list, if at all, but cards like Windberry Statue or Harpy's Featherstorm is rather unfun to go up against. By die roll, they did really well this month, winning 83% of the matches when they won the die roll versus 61% if they lost the die roll. Overall, it was the 4th most played deck in the last 7 days, so definitely a popular deck still, with a respectable 57 win percentage among all players. So I'm combining different Eldlich variants for the purpose of this video, so this includes Brave Eldlich DPE, Branded Eldlich, and even a bit of Cyber Eldlich. The deck won a strong 74% of the matches, and was also a high performer if they won the die roll at 82% match win percentage, but still a good 66% even when they lost the die roll. It wasn't that long ago where Eldlich was in the rogue category, which in itself was weird after being tier 1 for so long, but the last few months it has become a part of popular meta strategies, and now with branded fusion, it's easy to get this card to the grave and start your Eldlich plays. I personally have been playing branded Dogmatica Invoke Eldlich lately, and the deck is great. Overall, there's a ton of Eldlich variants, so it's not surprising to see it being the 3rd most played deck in the last 7 days online, with a good 58 match win percentage among all players. And we finally have a new deck to make it onto my monthly meta analysis, and that is branded Despia. Win percentage wise, it actually wasn't that high this time around at 64%, but definitely give it some time and it will likely get higher as the top players get more used to playing this deck. It is clearly tier 1 right now, but I do think it's a fair deck at the moment and not toxic to play against. By die roll, it was very even at around 63-65 match win percentage. Fallen of Albaz can actually be pretty good, hard drawing it when going second, and can sort of act as like a Walmart version of Super Poly. We're going to have to get used to seeing a lot of branded engines the next little while, so get your Ashes and Ghost Spells ready. Overall, it's already the most played deck online among all players in the last 7 days, although this number probably includes other branded variants as well, and not just for branded Despia. Still, it won 57% of their matches overall, so it's off to a solid start. Then we have Prank Kids, which again, let's not forget, is still a tier 1 deck and did fairly decent with a 68% match win percentage among the top players. With the Brave engine, the deck has been rather nuts, and I know some people are saying that Meow Meow Mew should just get banned. Really would be unfortunate if that happens for Prank Kids players, since they wanted a Link one so badly and they got their wish, but now it's up for debate whether it should be gone. By die roll, they actually had an even match win percentage this time around at 68%, while they can't play as many hand traps with the Brave Engine in their deck, unless they opt to play 60 card variants. I think the Brave Engine on its own really helps going second as well. Overall, it was the 8th most played deck in the last 7 days, with a 58% match win percentage. And lastly, we have Swordsoul, which was seeing decline in play, but I guess it's sort of back now among the top players, who won 61% of the matches with the deck. Small sample size of course, so the results here by die roll is likely affected by that. While they lost Protoss, the deck is still very consistent, and Baron is a beast, and Blackout is very nice as well. Their Swordsoul synchro monsters can be pretty hard to out too, and overall, I think it's a pretty fair meta deck now that we don't have to deal with Protoss. The deck is still really popular as well, being the second most played deck online among all players, with the 58% match win percentage, so it wasn't all that much lower than what our top ranked players achieved. Alright guys, so that was it for this month's meta analysis. Hope that was useful. Not sure when we'll get that next ban list, but hopefully soon now that the YCS events are over, and the next YCS isn't until end of the month. As usual, a big thanks to my patrons, and well, take care guys.